back in your arms once again.
Hi, Olivia.
G'day, mate. Can you give us a lift?
Sorry, love. I'm not going your way.
Thank you very much. Gee, you're nice. Hello, Sydney! Hello, Ogden! How are you? Hello! Hello, Seoul! 안녕하세요! Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm speechless. Good evening.
Salute.
Hi. How are you? Hi.
Mac.
How was it? G'day. It was great. It's a long walk though, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello.
Hello, nice to see you here. Hello?
Hi. Hello. G'day, mate. Hello, everybody. I'm Olivia. Hi, everyone. This is Olivia. Hello. I'm Olivia Newton-John, and I've got something to show you. One more time. I can't even say my name. Why is my name so long? How to say Olivia? Do I have to say I'm Olivia Newton-John again? No. Oh, good. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Olivia Newton-John.
Oh.
I'm very pleased to meet you too.
Yeah.
My name is Olivia Newton-John.
どうも。
Oh, Marcel. Joan? No, Joan. Olivia Newton-John. Listen, my name is Olivia, and I'm a singer.
Olivia Newton-John. Who is she and what's her story anyway?
Now we're going to talk about you, Olivia.
Most girls and some guys growing up loved Olivia Newton-John.
Who doesn't like Olivia Newton-John? That ought to be like a prisonable offense if you don't like Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John, Australian for Babe.
I've been asked to introduce the guest star, Miss Olivia Newton-John. Control yourself, you rag of bone and a hank of hair. That's all you are. Put your waist put together. What are you? Hey!
Olivia Newton-John there, or Olivia Neutron Bomb, as I call her. Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John.
It is my ear. Well, that's great news, Dick, but we're here to talk about Olivia, okay?
La gran Olivia Newton-John. Now, our next artist is somebody a lot of people, particularly gentlemen, would like to hang around with.
Oh, wait a minute, I forgot something. Olivia Newton-John, who's been singing on the concert tour with us, and she's really lovely. And I think she's lovely, and everybody else does.
Here's a very lovely young lady, Olivia Newton-John.
My dear friend and fellow countryman, or countrywoman, Miss Olivia Newton-John.
Ladies and gentlemen, Olivia Newton-John.
Here once again, Olivia Newton-John.
That's Olivia Newton-John.
Okay, don't look at her. Don't look at her.
Olivia, hi.
This day just keeps getting better and better.
Everyone wanted what John Travolta wanted. Olivia Newton-John.
Would you welcome warmly, please, Olivia Newton-John.
We're going to have a great show tonight, so how about let's get in physical, huh?
Our first overseas artist, Olivia Newton-John, would like to dedicate her first number to you, the viewer.
The scissors?
Thank you. Woo! Here we go.
Your go for Sue.
Hello, Sue? It's Olivia Newton-John, star of Grease. The most successful movie musical of all time?
Nice try, and that's a ridiculous accent.
Say, Stuart, I'm very pleased to meet you.
Stuart, I'm very pleased to meet you.
O-N-J.
What I think is
O-M-G-O-N-J.
Olivia Newton-John. Olivia Newton-John is a delightful, pretty young lady.
Pretty, perky, Olivia Newton-John.
The pretty girl with the three pretty names, Olivia Newton-John.
We firmly believe in giving value for money on this show. Not one act, not two, but three for the price of one. Tonight, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Olivia Newton-John.
It's Olivia Newton-John, actually.
Oh, you've shortened the act. Here.
Olivia was a smart and happy child, but there was one thing that she wanted to change.
I hated my name, Olivia Newton-John. Can you imagine? Triple barrel name with an unusual name for a first name. I wanted to be like Claire Smith or Margaret Brown or, you know, anything but what I was.
Do you know, if you'd married me all those years ago, you'd now be Olivia Newton-John Newton. I mean, it would have been terrific. Did I pronounce your name? Olivia Newton-John, right?
That's right. Okay, let's get going.
Roll tape.
Got the roll number.
Olivia Newton-John was born on September 26, 1948 in Cambridge, England.
Don't get so busy, don't get so tired.
The youngest child to parents Arena and Grin.
And count each run. Try not to worry too much to have fun. Don't get so old you forget to grow young. Grow young, and maybe this way you'll be a child again someday.
She was so gorgeous and so sweet. I think you are, as a little child, what you are when you've grown up. I really do.
To understand Olivia Newton-John's life, you have to start not with physical, but with physics. Her grandfather is Max Born, a Nobel laureate in physics, and a good friend of Albert Einstein.
My grandfather on my mother's side was Max Born, and he was a very close friend of Einstein's. And my mother talks of being a child, and Einstein would come to the house and play music with my grandfather. My grandfather played wonderful piano, and Einstein, I believe, played a string instrument, and so they would play music.
I remember Einstein coming to our house and playing his violin, and my father accompanied him. I can remember that very well.
Olivia's older sister, Rona.
And our dad was very musical, so we used to kind of sing with him around the piano.
My father was Welsh, so I think that he had that hereditary beautiful voice. He had a beautiful singing voice. I think that's where I got my voice from. And my mother also sang and played an instrument.
From the beginning, it's clear Olivia has inherited the family love for music.
I got the music gene, which I believe math and music are very closely aligned, so thank goodness I got some genetic good things from him. According to my mother, I always sang.
At only about a year old, I noticed that she could sing a note correctly after me, which is quite unusual, I think. And she started to learn folk songs and songs she heard in the radio at a very early age and used to entertain us.
Olivia started singing and had enormous talent from a very young age. I mean, she could harmonize without being taught anything.
When Olivia is 5, her father accepts a position at a university located halfway around the globe in Melbourne, Australia.
So we moved from England to Australia with the whole family, my brother, my sister, and myself, on a ship. Arrived in Melbourne, I guess I was 5 years old.
Though Olivia and her siblings have no trouble adjusting, the move does strain her parents' marriage. When Olivia is 8, her mother leaves her father, taking Olivia with her.
My dad went to live in Newcastle, my brother went to college, my sister went away, and it was just Mum and me. I think that was a hard period.
To make ends meet, Irena Newton-John went to work at a time when most women stayed home to care for their children.
I was a latchkey child. My mother had to get a job. She'd never worked before, and she had to start working, which was very brave of her.
With her mother working full-time and her older siblings now gone from home, it's a lonely time for an 8-year-old. Olivia's greatest comfort comes in her friendship with animals. Recognizing this, Olivia's mother arranges for her daughter to take writing lessons.
I think she used to love animals more than people.
Olivia also finds relief from her isolation in music. By age 11, she's written her first song, inspired by the heartache of her parents' divorce.
Why, oh why, did you go away from me? It seems like years to me. Why does it have to be? And I think I got a little distracted by all that. The emotional influence of that, I think, affected my concentration at school.
Olivia was not an A student, but even at a young age, she clearly demonstrated star potential.
Single record?
No, that was a song I used to sing at school. On this very stage, as a matter of fact.
You're so cute. I bet you got all the leads in the school plays, huh?
No, and actually the only part I ever played was of a codfish.
A codfish? Well, that's one way of learning your scales.
That joke was in the school play.
Was it really?
Yeah, until we cut it out.
Who is that up there on the stage?
That's Mrs. Burns, my old music teacher. Hi, Mrs. Burns. It's me, Olivia.
Speak up, child. I can hardly hear you.
Mrs. Burns, it's me, Olivia Newton-John.
That's better, child. Well, Olivia, it's nice to see you again. And I was just thinking of you the other day. She was the best codfish we ever had.
I can believe that.
My, you've turned into such a pretty girl. What are you doing with yourself these days?
Well, she sort of sings.
Ah, that's nice, Olivia. Keep it up. Practice makes perfect, you know.
That's what you always told me.
Did you really, honestly, win a Hayley Mills lookalike contest here in Melbourne?
I did.
Hayley Mills, why?
Well, when I was about 10, I looked very much like her.
And I entered her in a Hayley Mills competition because she really looked like her at that time.
And I won, I think, I didn't even know, my sister sent the picture in, I won passes to the theatre. But they were very clever because you couldn't go on weekends and you couldn't go on the holidays, so when can a 10-year-old go to the movies? I think I went once or something, but that was my first showbiz experience, actually.
And that kind of, I don't know, kind of spurred her onto show business.
By the time Olivia was 14, it seemed she was on her way to a career in the spotlight.
Do you remember when you started singing for the first time?
14. I started singing in Australia 15
15 years ago. I used to sing for fun in a coffee lounge. My brother-in-law had a coffee lounge, and I used to go in there, and there was a folk singer in there, and I used to sing along with him, singing harmonies. And until one day he invited me up on stage with him, and I went, and then did one song with him, and then he said, well, why don't you come at the weekends and sing with me? And I was still at school, but on Fridays and Saturdays I used to go in there and sing along. That's really how it started.
But that was the dream? I mean, you wanted to sing. Did you sing at home? Did you prance around in front of the mirror and all that sort of stuff?
I did, but you know, it really just happened. It wasn't something that I'm consciously aware of that I was following. It just kind of evolved.
Then at 14, while staring out her bedroom window, a chance encounter changes everything.
We used to watch Olivia sitting in the window. She'd just be sitting there all quiet, all by herself, and Denise said to me one day, look, she looks like a really nice girl, why don't we invite her to come out, you know? So we just sort of waved again, and then you went up.
And then we didn't know that she could sing, so that was a bonus, wasn't it?
Olivia teams up with her new friends, and they form a singing group called the Soul Four.
I had 3 girlfriends, and we used to sing together in a quartet, very badly and out of tune, but we used to go to these traditional jazz clubs on Fridays and sing, and we got pennies thrown at us. And
pennies thrown?
How bad were they?
Pretty bad. They were great girls. I'd love to see them again. I haven't seen them in so many years. There were 4 girls, hence the 4, very creative. Soul was sung in French. We thought we were terribly, terribly sophisticated because we had a French word in our name. And we were a group of girls from Melbourne who sang. We had kind of the roll neck, black turtlenecks and hessian jackets and the, you know, the hair and this, and we'd go down to the jazz clubs and sing.
Olivia finds a joy in performing that helps her escape her loneliness. And soon, what starts as a fun hobby becomes something much more. In 1964, Olivia's sister Rona enters her as a solo act in a nationally televised talent contest.
In 1964 it would have been, I guess, and we were watching on Sunday night the P&O Talent Quest, and I said, that one's going to win, and it was you.
Yeah. Oh, that was one of the first things I ever
First
did.
thing you ever won?
Sing, sing, sing.
Yeah.
Encouraged by then-boyfriend Ian Turpie, Olivia entered Johnny O'Keeffe's Sing, Sing, Sing talent quest.
I was told about this talent contest that was on television that was going to be on the equivalent of American Bandstand over here.
She's the girl I dream about every night.
We used to sing a lot together, and we often would do a duet on Sing, 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 the Melbourne show. And then, at my insistence, she went into the Sitmar quest and won it, which won her a trip to England, and that was the last I saw of her virtually, you know, idiot.
So here I was 15, and first thing I did, I won. I was very lucky.
It's a fairy tale.
It is.
She wins it, and there he is with Johnny, presenting her with her award. Off she goes to England, and that's really... Because, of course, she came out here at 4. She was born in England, but that's where it all began.
As part of the contest, Olivia wins a trip to London. But before she has a chance to take it, a better offer comes along, a full-time job on television.
After her victory in the talent contest, Olivia was offered a job as hostess on a local children's TV show.
I was offered a job on a daytime children's television show.
But she's only 15, and full-time means quitting school.
So then that was the big decision. Did I go back and finish my last year at school, or did I take this job? And I opted to leave because one of my teachers wisely said to me, if you're going to be thinking about singing, you're never going to get through the last year, so, you know, follow what you want to do. So, phew, I'll follow singing.
She was more or less destined to get into the entertainment business. And so I couldn't see much purpose in her staying in school longer.
And there was even things in the paper in those days saying school or stardom, which should she do?
So you're in fact a classic dropout?
Oh yes, I am. I'm a hippie.
Yeah.
And I became Lovely Livy. That's really how I got into television on Channel 9.
This is her at age 14 as Lovely Livy on an Australian kids show.
But I knocked that on the head because I didn't do so well at school.
Education was low among Olivia's priorities. By the age of 15, she'd appeared regularly on television.
As a regular on Time for Terry, The Go Show, and even land a starring role in the movie Funny Things Happen Down Under.
See the sun in the sky, always riding high at Christmas time, down under. It will be no surprise, temperatures will rise at Christmas time, down under.
You're an instant hit with Australian audiences, and industry heavyweights are already predicting a bright future for you.
Working on local TV for a year, 15-year-old Olivia was becoming increasingly well known.
These days when I grow up, I'm gonna make love to you. I'm 16 now, you're that plus 3. With those 3 years make it you don't even see big. One of these days when I grow up, you'll see me alright, you'll see. There's nothing can be done, there's not a place to hide or run from me. Oh, nothing can be done, there's not a place to hide or run from me.
In 1964, television was an integral part of the Australian music industry. Many personalities gained national recognition and prominence by appearing on programs such as The Go Show.
I think it was about 64. There was a TV show in Melbourne, Australia called The Go Show, and we immediately became friends.
The Go Show was a teenage rock and roll show, and it was kind of based on the American Bandstand, and they'd have maybe 8 guests a week, and we'd all come on and sing a couple of songs each.
It was in fact television that made Olivia. She didn't even record in Australia. It was The Go Show. She went on The Go Show.
Appearing regularly on The Go Show, Olivia became a minor celebrity in Melbourne.
I think we actually have some performance here.
With Ian Turpie, look at this.
Who would have a large role to play in her career as the years went on.
I mean, Turpie, who played guitar for me the first time.
Why did I know you were going to say?
And I learned a lot from him about music and performing and other things we won't talk about.
It's not unusual, it happens every day.
I started out in Melbourne in Time for Terry, doing a daytime kind of housewife show. It was really fun.
Yeah. Olivia and her singing partner Pat Carroll were featured nationally on the afternoon show Time for Terry. In fact, they were so big that the little box in the corner of Australian lounge rooms couldn't contain them.
The very thought is driving me mad.
Working with an ensemble cast, Olivia learns about romance as well. She performs with her first boyfriend on the show Time for Terry.
There was this young guy who was singing there called Ian Turpie, who was as cute as can be. And they ended up like boyfriend and girlfriend for years after that. And it was very sweet.
Very, very ardently involved with Ian Turpie, who was madly in love with her at the time.
Be contented to live anywhere. What would I care?
As long as you were there, skies may not always be blue. But one thing is clear as can be. I know that I could be.
But her ultimate career really ascended very sharply once she left there.
Pat Carroll and Olivia Newton-John made regular appearances on Time for Terry and quickly became major draw cards.
The things we did last summer, I remember all winter long. Do-be-do-be-do-do-do-do. This is the life. Here's where the living is. If you should feel very sure of me, will you become demanding? When you decide what is right for us, will you be understanding?
Their personal charm and talent was obvious, but one man who saw their future potential was Terry O'Neill, as he revealed on their final appearance on his show.
Look, on behalf of everyone here, we would like to wish you every success, and I mean that sincerely. And I think you're going to have a great big success, I'm pretty sure of it. I got bets on it. I got news for you. Want to see you come back here next time as the big stars, you know, touring around, all right? Maybe movies as well, you never know. Here we are.
The rest, as they say, is history. Olivia, of course, went on to international stardom.
Olivia Newton-John was an absolute delight. She was a very pretty young lady, as most people would realise. She was very young at that time.
But I'm so lucky to be loving
Olivia and Pat went overseas to chase their dream, and their on-air farewell was awash with tears.
From variety shows to playing lovely Livy on a kids' program, it proves to be an invaluable training ground.
You had to do sketches, you had to do music hall, introduce people, do ads. So I had like a cram course in television very young. I started off in my hometown and got accustomed to that kind of being known pretty well as a young girl. I was a big fish in a very small pond in Australia, in my local hometown, but it was the best place to learn.
And did you do ads?
I did ads.
Now, is this an ad now? Is this an ad?
No, I don't think so. I don't know what that one is.
I thought possibly deodorant.
The year passes and Olivia remains in Australia. She sees no reason to leave her boyfriend or TV. But the prize from the contest, the plane tickets to London, are about to expire. And her mother feels Olivia needs a change.
She had to really learn and be a proper artist, in my opinion. And so I decided I didn't want them to spoil her so much, so I took her away.
Yes, it could. Something's coming, something good.
It's 1965, and all roads that are groovy lead to London. Olivia Newton-John has returned to her homeland.
The Bee Gees were taking off and the Beatles, and it was an incredible time. I remember meeting the Bee Gees at Carnaby Street. England was, I really didn't like it in the very beginning. I thought everything was, I was so pro-Australian that I made my mother's life a misery. I hate it, everything's old, it's cold, it's grey. I appreciate it now, but when I first went there, I didn't like it at all. I was always struggling to get back to Australia. I was like, I'm Australian and I want to stay in Australia and I have a boyfriend, and I really didn't want to go, but she really insisted, and she was right. My mother kind of said, be good for you, let's go, you know. You need to broaden your horizons.
But Olivia hated London. She was terribly homesick. She missed the Australian sunshine and her friends in Melbourne, one in particular.
My boyfriend was in Australia and I wanted to go home, and so I booked my ticket and she would go and unbook it, and she'd go into the travel agent apparently and say, has my daughter been in here? And they'd say yes. She said, well, cancel the flight. This went on for about 2 months and she kept me there, and of course I thanked her profusely many years later, but at the time I was furious. We ended up in a little apartment in London, in Hampstead.
While living in London with her mother, Olivia began singing in small clubs.
The first thing I did, I think, was work in some terrible little dive club called the Poor Millionaires Club, and that's exactly where it was. And I sang sort of 3 or 4 songs to open for this folk singer who was the main act.
And within months, release your first single called Till You Say You'll Be Mine.
I remember doing a song called Till You Say You'll Be Mine, which is a Jackie DeShannon song. And the review came out and said, sounded like, what did it say? That I should be an air hostess or something very derogatory.
Things improved for Olivia when Pat Carroll, a friend from Australia, arrived in the UK.
And then a friend of mine from Australia, she won a trip over.
And then I won a radio award, and I was sent to England as well. So she picked me up at the airport.
On the way from the airport, we went to see where they'd put her up, and it was so crummy that I said, come back and stay with Mum and I. She stayed with Mum and I in the flat for a couple of weeks, and then we actually got a flat together with 2 other girls. I was only 17, 18.
Rather than forge separate careers, the girlfriends joined forces and create an imaginatively titled duo, Pat and Olivia.
We threw together an act in like a week and went and did her dates as a double act rather than on our own, and that's how it all started.
As a singing duo, the pair hit the London clubs and impressed the locals with their cute routines.
And then I was kind of enjoying it, and I wasn't in such a rush because we were working in all the dreadful clubs up north and everything, but we had a good time. We stayed in these digs, and they were very cheap, and we did these clubs and 2 shows a night, and sleazy clubs around the country, but we had a great time. It was really fun. It was exciting. It was all new to us, you know. We did a lot. The clubs were the scene in those days, you know.
So we're talking the late 60s, aren't we? What sort of material were you doing then?
Can't Buy Me Love, and all that stuff, and yesterday, a lot of Beatles stuff,
Very
and
brave,
Shirley Bassey. We were 18, thought we were Shirley Bassey, you know, lots of makeup. And we were young girls, we were having a blast. We were in London, in Carnaby Street in Beatle days, can you imagine?
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
The swinging 60s.
Yeah, it really was.
I love that photo.
Yeah, isn't it great?
So what are you wearing here?
Oh, little velvet moo-moos that I made.
Pat was making our clothes. I did the hems belligerently because I hated sewing.
And the hair?
The hair, we had false hair. And the two of us wore false hair, false eyelashes, white lipstick. You know, the whole fashion thing was great. Everything was false in those days.
She was really focused, and I was like, oh, this is fun, and I was enjoying it, but I was more interested in getting back to my boyfriend in Australia, but that didn't actually work out because he was going to get married to someone else.
It's Pat's determination and contacts that gets them out on the road to fame and fortune.
So I went to my agent and said, all the jobs I've got lined up, do you mind if I bring another girl in? And they said, not at all, because they'd seen her and knew she was pretty. And so we worked out all these harmonies and started doing all these shows together. And I split my wages with her for the first maybe 4 months.
She's always said that I should be splitting my fees with her now because she split hers with me then.
She's never split hers with me, isn't that fun? It was about £18 a week, by the way. It wasn't a lot of money.
New to the London music scene, the duo's first gigs didn't always go according to plan.
We worked at a place called Raymond's Review Bar, and it was kind of in a basement, and it was called Raymond's Review Bar. I don't know for those in the audience who are old enough to remember this place.
We all know Raymond's Review Bar.
But we didn't know what it was. Just before we went on, we noticed there was a girl in a swim tank behind us, in a fish tank.
We looked around the corner, and all of a sudden we saw this woman taking her clothes off in a fish tank.
And when we went out to do the show, there were a couple of guys in the audience in raincoats. So we had our cute little dresses on. We were like 19, and we had little pink dresses with our frills on. We went out and do our songs, you know.
Do you remember what you were singing that night, the kind of music you were
we would do things like, you know, the leaves of brown came tumbling down, remember, you know, September in the rain. September in the rain. The leaves of brown came tumbling down, remember, in September in the rain.
Just what you would expect in a strip joint.
In a strip joint, yeah, with the little dance steps and the cute little dresses and, oh, gosh. And there wasn't much response from the audience, and we came back off and we realised afterwards it was a strip club that our agent had booked us in.
I don't think they liked us at all because we were too young, we had too many clothes on. They were just these little sleazy men just staring at us.
Well, they were waiting for us to take our clothes off.
They thought we were very boring, and we got fired.
That was the sleaziest place we ever played that I remember. The sun went down just like a dying ember that September in the rain.
In the 60s, there is no better place for two teenage girls to be.
It was Carnaby Street, but it was Twiggy.
And, you know, sex, drugs and rock and roll.
Yeah, well, that wasn't us.
No.
We were good girls.
We had a really fun time.
Yeah, a couple of dolly birds on the loose.
That's exactly right.
Their venues soon improve. Within months, they get a chance to perform with the biggest name in London variety shows.
Come on, everybody!
Singer Cliff Richards and his band, The Shadows.
Back up in the woods among the ever.
I think our break came when we started being a support act for different people.
In September of 1966, while performing with Pat at a music festival, Olivia met Bruce Welch of The Shadows. The two became very close, and by 1967 had become romantically involved.
I first met Olivia Newton-John September of 1966. Pat and Olivia were one of the support acts to The Shadows. They were doing songs of the day like Dionne Warwick songs and things.
Fame breeds fame, and producers back in Australia want the duo to return. Olivia's old network offers them a TV special of their own.
I got a feeling there's a miracle due, gonna come true, coming to me.
By Australian standards, Olivia has arrived big time.
We were invited back to Australia and given our own show. In those days, in order to become successful, you almost had to leave and come back. And you didn't have to do much, but you just had to leave and come back. So we came back with, you know, the press at the airport and our girls from London. Something's coming, something good, if I can wait. Something's coming, I don't know what it is, but it is gonna be great.
Use that self-same, step the ladder to climb the other way. Scrapping and fighting, scratching and biting, cheating and acting.
funny when you come back to a place like this, where you think back to bandstand days, you used to sing in this very studio?
Well, it feels very comfortable. It feels like home, you know. I did bandstand a couple of times.
Here she is performing with her 60s singing partner, Pat Carroll, on the variety show Bandstand.
Today, there is something on my mind. You say that I'm not really your kind. So long, it was good while it lasted. Today, I can do without today. Tomorrow may be better.
Olivia Newton-John on the show. It all started quite a while back when she won the Sitmar Quest from Johnny O'Keefe's Sing Sing Sing. We tried to get her then, but they very smartly had her under contract. Then she went to Melbourne, but I think she was contracted again because we still couldn't get her. Then she went to England, where she wasn't contracted, but we couldn't afford the fare. Now she's back, for a while anyway, and at last we've made it. For Bandstand, Olivia Newton-John.
Well, eventually you did return to Australia and you got on with your career, including regular appearances on Bandstand.
Changing my life with a wave of his hand. Nobody can deny that there's something there. I want him everywhere, and if he's beside me, I know I need never care. But to love him is to need him everywhere, knowing that love is to share. Each one believing that love never dies, watching his eyes and hoping I'm always there to be there and everywhere, there and everywhere.
Oh, boy.
What do you think, looking back at that?
Oh, it brings back a lot of memories. It's wonderful, actually. Can you get that skirt any shorter, do you think?
With any shorter and we couldn't show it.
I know.
Olivia Newton-John. And speaking of Olivia Newton-John, she went overseas with a member of an earlier Bandstand family, Pat Carroll, who tells me that she really enjoyed England. She can't go back for 6 months because she has to get another work permit, that she found the winters a bit cold and it was rather lonely and it's good to be back with family. Pat and Olivia worked together a lot, and from all reports have been doing very well. Anyway, Pat's come home with Olivia, and we're delighted to welcome her back.
But Olivia and Pat know the real action is still in London, so they move back. Then, Pat's visa expires, and their big plans are immediately derailed.
They said you have 4 days to get out, and it was, well, I had to leave. We were really quite successful for a while there and had a great time until my visa ran out, and that was it.
Their stint in London was brought to an abrupt halt. Along with it, their double act.
After the 6 months, I went and applied for an extension, and it always takes about a month for them to make up their minds. Then they said no after that month, and then we had an offer to go to Cyprus to entertain the troops on a big show there. So they gave me a couple of months to do that. Then it took another month to make up their mind, which ended up being about 11 months altogether. And they still said yes, no, yes, no. They wouldn't give her a definite answer. Yeah. I mean, if they had said, you've got to go or you can stay, it would have been fine. But they're so mixed up, they don't know what to do. We couldn't make any plans for the future because we kept having to tell people, oh, we might be going or we might not be, and so it mucked everything.
Olivia is at a crossroads. Does she return to Australia with Pat and continue what looks to be a successful double act, or does she try to make it on her own in London?
The more I see you, the more I want you.
Tipping the scales on the side of London is Bruce Welch. He's a member of Cliff Richard's band, and Olivia has fallen in love with him.
In the late 60s, Bruce Welch of the Shadows was becoming a major influence in Olivia's musical career and in her personal life.
Olivia, you're 20 and still living in London when you announce your engagement to the guitarist for the Shadows, Bruce Welch. The following year, you were approached to join a pop group specifically created to rival the Monkees. The band is called Tomorrow, and with great expectations.
Olivia got her first taste of rock and roll when she joined Tomorrow, the band that could have been the next Monkees.
In the palm of our hands, we don't bury our heads in the sand, and we don't make any plans, taking our own sweet time,
Rock impresario Don Kirshner, the man responsible for the teen phenomenon The Monkees, is looking to create a new group for a film called Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Do you think that's a good name for us?
Sure, I dig it. We're too much. We're tomorrow.
They picked, you know, the four types they thought would be perfect. I was like the all-American or all-English or whatever you want, Australian girl. Mm. We had a very good-looking American Midwestern cowboy type guy, a black Philadelphian drummer who was really cool and really cute, and an English Tommy Steele Cockney character. These are the four of us, and we were put together, never met each other before, and told to rehearse, you know.
Bandmates Olivia, Benny, Carl, and Vic even took their groovy bag to the big screen, making film history with the first alien abduction rock musical.
Was a science fiction musical, and the group that we were in was going to save another planet, so they abducted us in their spaceship and took us to this other planet because our music was going to save us, so you can imagine.
Man, what a trip. Hey, is everybody all right? Libby?
I'm all right, but I'm scared.
Don't worry, honey, we're with you.
We are here to offer you galactic greetings.
But why? I mean, what are we doing up here in space?
I'm impressed by your acceptance of the fact that you are up here in space.
We have to accept it, man. Like, where else are we?
The logic of youth. It is probably our only contact with your planet.
Our civilization is old, but is directed by minds that are young. Your civilization is young, but is controlled by minds that are old.
Which is why we have never revealed our existence to your species.
So why make us the exception?
Because you generate certain vibrations in your music, and we need to study them.
Well, do your things for us, Ghostess. Permutate those vibrations.
The whole Tomorrow situation was an utter disaster. I never even saw the film.
And the script was terrible, and everything was terrible, and they put a lot of money behind it, and it opened and closed in about a week. When you look at it now, it's kind of camp. It's really funny.
Look, sir, mister, our music won't be any good to you up there. We won't be able to cure anything. You just can't switch on feeling, heart, or emotion. It comes through the people you play to. You turn on together.
It was a great experience, and it flopped. It was very disappointing. But anyway, nevertheless, I gained a lot.
Tomorrow's space-age go-go music had a message. The truth is out there, and it looks good in short shorts.
I mean, who is this vixen right here?
There's an old clipping here from a 1969 newspaper that you haven't seen, from Sydney, and it says a fabulous amount, Australian girl to star in $5 million film, the article says. And it says, let me read it. A pretty 20-year-old Australian singer, this is from New York, has been chosen to star in a $5 million film produced by the man who discovered the Monkees. The girl is Olivia Newton-John of Melbourne. And then you cut, and I'm so excited I could burst, Miss Newton-John. And then at the end, asked whether she would want to return to Australia. Miss Newton-John answered, not right now. This is too groovy. I can't believe I'm a star.
Back on Mother Earth, Olivia used her wild success in Tomorrow as a launch pad to European TV.
Hey, boy, don't let him fool
a nuisance, you thrill me.
It's hard to tell you because I'm trembling still.
Pretty baby, I want you all for my own.
But are you ready to leave those others alone?
I say yeah.
Now that's what I say yeah. Woo. Sometimes when I'm down and all alone, just like a child without a home, the love you give me keeps me hanging on. Honey, all I ever need is you. Is this a lasting treasure, or just a moment's pleasure? Oh, honey pie, you would drive me crazy. I am lost and I'm lazy, so won't you please come home? Won't you please come home? Honey pie, honey pie. Sing a song, make it simple to last your whole life long. Don't worry that it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Sing a song. La la da 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 la da 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 dee da la 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 la.